The day the Galactic Council pronounced Earth unworthy, a hush fell across humanity's command chambers. Captain Mira Hayes stood at the observation window of the orbiting station Arcadia, her heart pounding like a war drum. Beyond the reinforced glass, the blue-green jewel of Earth spun silently against the velvet of space, her home, now marked as an outcast. 2 hours earlier, in the gilded halls of the Council's citadel, representatives from 100 worlds had cast their votes. Mira remembered the final tally as if it were a death knell. 100 allies turned their backs, and only a handful of minor colonies dared to speak in Earth's favor. The verdict was clear. Earth was banned. Its fleets would be forbidden from Council space. Its ambassadors would be stripped of all rights. Back on Arcadia, the mood was grim. Admiral Lucas Fernandez, a grizzled veteran with lines carved deep from years of service, gathered the senior officers in the command deck. Holographic displays showed the Council's embargo zones slowly expanding, buttoned by patrol squadrons that would soon arrive to enforce the ban. "They want us isolated," he said, voice tight. "They want us to fade away. But Earth has never knelt. We will not start now." Mira clenched her fists. She knew the risk of defiance. A single misstep, and galactic war could erupt. Still, the fire in her chest burned too brightly to be snuffed out. As Chief of Tactical Operations, she had overseen countless drills for impossible scenarios. None had felt as impossible as this: humanity, alone against the vast cosmic order. That night, Mira could not sleep. She slipped down to the lower decks, where the station's small crew quarters hummed gently. Finding her friend and fellow, Officer Lieutenant Rafi Malik, studying star charts under a dim lamp, she whispered, "We need a plan." Rafi looked up, dark eyes thoughtful. "The Council patrols will be here in 4 days," he said. "They'll scan every ship, every transport, any sign of military buildup, and they'll strike first." He tapped the chart. "But here," he pointed to a narrow, little-used corridor of space between two nebulae. "The gas clouds block most scans. We could push a fleet through, slip past the main routes." Mira's pulse quickened. "An armada in hiding," she murmured. "We could hide our warships among the civilian transports. If we announce ourselves only when we're beyond the blockade, we might stand a chance." Rafi nodded, lips tight. "It's risky. But if we let Earth's fleet be dismantled, our people will lose hope. They need to believe we can fight back." Hope. Mira thought of families on Earth watching news feeds, heart sinking as embargo nails closed shut. She imagined children seeing their skies empty of trading vessels, the cost of supplies soaring, fear creeping into every home. If no one stood up, despair would become the true conqueror. "All right," she said at last, voice firm. "Begin the preparations. Call every shipyard that still answers Earth command. Gather every captain willing to risk defiance. We'll rendezvous here in 70 hours. Rafi closed the star chart with a soft click. "I'll send the orders. Everyone who receives them will know. We're not waiting for permission." As the two officers parted, Mira paused in the corridor's soft glow. She placed her palm against the cool metal wall, as if drawing strength from the station itself. Arcadia had been built in Earth's image, a crossroads of science, culture, and military might. If Arcadia fell silent, the galaxy would believe. Earth's spirit was broken. Below, in the civilian sector, whispers of rebellion spread like wildfire. Merchant captains, once fearful of offending the Council, now shared secret messages on encrypted channels. Engineers smuggled weapons parts into cargo holds labeled as farm equipment. Even artists, whose broadcasts were normally censored, began streaming songs of resistance under coded titles. The people of Earth were awakening to the possibility of standing tall once more. Mira returned to the command deck as emergency lights pulsed, signaling the arrival of incoming transmissions. One by one, ships identified themselves: freighters, research vessels, fishing boats turned armed traders. Each bore the crest of Earth's flag, a stylized phoenix rising from a shattered planet. The symbol had never meant so much. Admiral Fernandez watched the display, eyes shining with a mixture of pride and worry. "They're here," he said softly. "Thousands of souls all ready to stake everything on defiance." Mira met his gaze. "Then we begin. At first light we'll move as one." Outside, the stars seemed to lean in closer, as if to witness humanity's bold choice. In that moment, Earth was no longer a beaten world. It was a spark of rebellion, ready to blaze a trail through the darkness. And so, as the first pale lines of nebula light swept across the station, humanity prepared to cast aside its exile and rise as a defiant empire once more. Before dawn's glow reached Arcadia's hull, Captain Mira Hayes and her fledgling armada slipped into the nebula's swirling veil. Cloaked by crimson and violet gas, the civilian transports and hidden warships drifted silently. Each vessel carried more than crew and cargo. They carried Earth's hope. Mira stood on the bridge of the frigate Aurora, her dark hair tied back, uniform crisp, but stained with fatigue. At her side, Lieutenant Rafi Malik monitored the fleet's progress. "We're clear of patrol sensors for now," he whispered, eyes fixed on the flickering holomap. "But we move too slow. We risk detection when we exit the other side." Mira nodded. "Signal the captains. Increase speed to flank separation tolerances. Don't burn shields until we're through." She activated a secure channel. "All hands, this is Hayes. Maintain formation Delta 3, steady speed, stay hidden. We'll emerge beyond the blockade in 12 hours. Then we fight for Earth's freedom." Across the nebula's heart, the fleet obeyed. Cargo vessels revved. Hidden thrusters. Research ships engaged evasive trajectories. Fishing boats became makeshift gun platforms. The phoenix crest on each hull seemed to glow in the nebula's murky light, a beacon of unity. Below decks of the colony transport Minerva, engineer Nora Diaz worked with a handful of volunteers. They welded armored plating over cryo-storage tanks, converting them into weapon caches. Sparks danced in the dim compartment as Nora calibrated plasma conduits to feed turret mounts. She glanced at the portrait of her young son displayed on a cracked datapad. He believed his mother was on a peaceful mission. He did not know she was arming a rebellion. A lump tightened her throat. "For you," she murmured, welding the last bracket. Meanwhile, on the destroyer Sentinel, Commander Jackson Lee drilled his gun crews. Civilians turned soldiers listened intently as he demonstrated turret operation and rapid reload procedures. His tone was calm, almost gentle, but his eyes burned with determination. When the trainees asked why they followed orders, "That could get them killed," he answered. "Because if we do nothing, our children will inherit a world of fear. We fight so they can live free." As the hours passed, tension on Arcadia built. The nebula's gases played tricks on comlinks, and occasional static cut messages in half. Some captains whispered of turning back. What if they failed? But each time fear rose, a stronger voice answered, "Remember why we came." Traders recited verses of defiance from Earth's old poets. Scientists shared stories of Earth's unity during past crises. Together, they stilled doubt. At Aurora's helm, Mira felt a tremor of anxiety. The nebula's edge was near. Beyond lay the Council's blockade, a gauntlet of warships scanning for intruders. If they were spotted too early, the Council would overwhelm them before they could organize. If they waited too long, they might never leave the nebula's embrace. "Rafi, stand by for calm silence," she ordered. "We'll cut all non-essential channels in 5 minutes. From here, only individual captains have permission to speak, and only if it's critical to formation integrity." Rafi tapped a console. "Understood. Preparing for channel lockdown." On the main holomap, the fleet's icons pulsed as they shifted deeper into the gases. Mira took a steadying breath. She remembered Admiral Fernandez's words, "Humanity will not kneel." She realized how true they were. This ragtag armada, farmers, traders, scholars, was more than metal and fuel. It was Earth's soul given form. She would lead it through, hell if she had to. The channel went silent. Aurora's bridge lights dimmed. Outside, the nebula glowed like dying embers. Then, as if the universe held its breath, the fleet pierced the gas wall. On the other side, stars shone clear. And there, arrayed like sentinels across the void, lay the Council's blockade, 9 colossal dreadnoughts in a crescent formation, their searchlights sweeping the exit corridor. A collective hush fell over the bridge. The blockade's guns glinted coldly in Aurora's forward scanners. The Council's flag flew high on each ship, a stark reminder of the power arrayed against them. Mira raised her chin. All ships, this is Captain Hayes. We are detected in T-minus 30 seconds. Execute Plan Ember. Engage neutron flares, scatter formation, and brake for the furthest exit points. Civilian ships follow the escort's wake. Warships draw fire, and protect transports move on my mark. Her voice was calm. Inside, her heart hammered, but she did not falter. This was the moment Earth's fate would be decided. Mark, she said. On Aurora's deck, lights blinked red. Outside, Aurora's engines flared with blistering speed. Around them, Allied vessels erupted in blue-white bursts as they discharged neutron flares into the void. The nebula's gases ignited in response, creating a blinding barrier of light and debris. The blockade's dreadnoughts roared to life, but for a brief, miraculous instant, the defiant armada slipped through the chaos. Mira held the command chair as the stars streaked toward her. She saw the first Council warship swing its turrets, and she clenched her teeth. "Hold steady," she whispered. "For Earth." And at that moment, humanity's defiant empire launched its assault. Flashes of light and thunderous echoes filled the void as Aurora and her escorts charged through the blockade. Captain Mira Hayes gripped the armrests, eyes locked on the holo display. Smoke from damaged shields drifted across the viewport like ghostly ribbons. Behind her, the transports, crowded close, driven by the escort's protection. On the bridge of the destroyer Sentinel, Commander Jackson Lee barked orders. "Point defense turrets. Focus on incoming fighters. Keep those transports clear." His voice rose above the clamor. Crew members manned laser batteries, their faces pale but determined. When a burst of plasma struck Sentinel's port side, they held their ground, returning fire with measured discipline. Meanwhile, in the Minerva's cargo bay, engineer Nora Diaz and her team wrestled with a jammed turret. Sparks flew as metal groaned. Come on," Nora muttered, prying open a maintenance hatch. She found the misaligned coolant line and snapped it back into place. The turret powered up with a sharp whine. Nora wiped sweat from her. "Shall we say got it?" she called. A nearby crewman tested the gun and gave her a relieved thumbs up. Back on Aurora, Lieutenant Rafi Malik monitored tactical readouts. Shields at 40%, warships taking heavy fire. He tapped the console. "Captain, 3 transports have been hit. We're losing speed." Mira's jaw tightened. "Evasive maneuvers Delta 4. Use the flanking screen to cover those. Ships. Rafi, divert auxiliary power to shields. Every last joule." She pressed her communicator. "All captains repeat. Protect the transports at all costs. Do not break formation." Beyond the immediate chaos, the Council's dreadnoughts unleashed their heavy batteries. Blinding beams carved through the darkness, seeking out Aurora's silhouette. Mira saw warning lights flicker. A direct hit would tear the frigate apart. Her throat dry, she chose her next move. "Prepare to deploy the phase decoy pods. We'll make them chase shadows while the fleet slips away." On a lower deck, pilot Owen Reyes fastened himself into a small pod. He tapped the release lever. With a soft thrum, the pod ejected and spiraled out, emitting a faint glow. Sensors aboard the nearest dreadnought locked onto the decoy. A volley of plasma arcs followed the little craft, leaving the real fleet unmolested for a precious moment. Rafi glanced at Mira, awe in his eyes. "Nice work, Owen," a calm voice chimed in her earpiece. Admiral Lucas Fernandez aboard the command. Ship Dominion reported in. "Mira, flank Group 2 is broken free. Civilian convoys are weaving through. I've drawn 2 dreadnoughts south. Your window is open." Mira exhaled, relief mingling with urgency. "Understood, Admiral. We're on our way." She turned back to her bridge crew. "All hands, full burn to exit corridor Echo 7. Follow the Dominion's wake." Outside, Aurora's engines roared. The convoy shifted course, streaking toward the safe channel. Behind them, the nebula's gases still glowed, marking the path they had taken. Civilian vessels shimmered as they bounced off the light, carrying families, refugees, and hope itself. Moments later, they cleared the blockade entirely. The Council's ships turned in unison, but the defiant fleet was already regrouping. Warships formed a protective wheel around the transports. Engineers sent emergency broadcasts to Earth, broadcasting victory signals and rallying cries. On Dominion's bridge, Admiral Fernandez allowed himself a brief smile. "They made it," he said softly to Captain Mira over the secure channel. "Earth's fleet lives." Mira let herself relax for the first time in hours. "We did it together," she replied. "But this is just the beginning." As the convoy coalesced, a smaller formation detached and headed toward a nearby star system. Scientists on the research vessel Horizon prepared to establish a makeshift base. Dr. Emma Fields oversaw the conversion of survey modules into habitation units. "We'll need raw materials," she explained to her team. "But these asteroids are rich. With enough mining drones, we can build repair yards and shelters." Lieutenant Raffi interfaced with Horizon Systems. "I'll coordinate supply routes," he offered. "We can send relief ships back to Arcadia for reinforcements and medical supplies." He glanced at the holomap. "It's a good spot. Remote, defensible, but close enough to Earth's jump gates for resupply." Below decks of Dominion, Captain Mira found Admiral Fernandez studying a star chart. "What's our next move?" she asked. He looked up, eyes serious. "We've proven we can break the blockade, but the Council won't let this stand. They'll send reinforcements, an entire strike fleet. We need allies." "Who?" Mira pressed. The Admiral pointed to a cluster of neighboring systems. "The Haven Confederacy. They've long had sympathies for Earth's independence. If we can secure their support, we'll bolster our numbers and legitimize our cause. But reaching their capital will take time and stealth." Mira nodded. She thought of her crew, weary but unbroken, and of the civilians whose futures now hung in the balance. "Then we make for Haven," she decided. "We tiptoe under their radars if we must. But once we arrive, Earth's defiance will have a new home." As the fleet altered course toward the Haven systems, lights flickered throughout the ships, a sign that power was being rerouted. On Aurora's bridge, Mira felt a spark of hope ignite anew. They had stood against the Council's might and lived. Now they would reach out across the stars to forge a true empire of freedom. And so, with battered hulls but unbowed spirits, Earth's defiant armada set its course for Haven, ready to write the next chapter of humanity's rise. The battered fleet slipped through the void toward Haven space, starlight glinting off scarred hulls. Captain Mira Hayes stood on the bridge of the Aurora, watching the distant flash of jump gate thrusters as the armada leapt away from Council territory. Around her, officers whispered of relief and anticipation, yet everyone knew their greatest challenge lay ahead. Below decks, Lieutenant Rafi Malik oversaw the flow of supplies. In the cargo hold of the Sentinel, he checked ration crates stamped with the Earth crest. As he handed a package to a weary medic, Private Lena Torres, he offered a small smile. "When we reach Haven, these will feed more than our fighters. They'll feed families." Lena nodded, hope flickering in her tired eyes. Meanwhile, aboard the research ship Horizon, Dr. Emma Fields guided her science team through the installation of makeshift mining rigs on a nearby asteroid. The rigs' arms whirred as they bit into the rock, extracting ore to repair the Armada's hulls. Engineer Nora Diaz paced among the rigs, issuing orders over her comm. "Calibrate the plasma cutters to lower power. Avoid overheating. We need these parts in one piece." Sparks danced around her boots as she crouched to inspect a molten seam. With a nod of approval, she radioed supply convoys to return with the newly forged plates. High above, in the Dominion's command sphere, Admiral Lucas Fernandez studied the tactical map. Red blips marked Council patrols crisscrossing the border. Systems. Green icons showed Haven's ambiguous signal, neither hostile nor welcoming. He tapped his comm. "Captain Hayes, preparations for diplomatic overture are ready. Envoy ship Mercy stands by. Mira's reply crackled over the secure channel. Understood, Admiral. Send your green light when you're ready. On the Aurora, Mira gathered her officers in the Situation Room, a domed chamber lined with hollow projectors. They formed a solemn circle. Rafi, Nora, Commander Jackson Lee, Dr. Fields, over Vidlink, and a lone diplomat, Ambassador Caleb Rhodes. Caleb, a calm man in simple silver robes, cleared his throat. Haven may distrust Earth after centuries of Council dominance, he warned. They've seen too many fledgling powers crushed by politics. We must offer mutual benefit, industrial partnerships, shared defense, as well as assurances of peace. Mira nodded. Agreed. But we cannot appear desperate. We must show we have strength to offer and a willingness to defend our allies. She tapped the central holo display, bringing up an image of Earth's phoenix crest. This symbol stands for resilience. Let it also stand for partnership. Ambassador Rhodes, craft our message, strength and respect. As plans formed, the Mercy slipped from Arcadia, carrying Caleb and a guarded crew. It moved under stealth protocols toward Haven's outer gate. Mira watched its departure on the view screen, heart pounding. Each jump could betray their presence. Each moment in transit tested their luck. Days later, the Mercy arrived in Haven's sensor range. The void was quiet. No welcoming lights, no warning sirens. Ambassador Rhodes activated a coded beacon, projecting Earth's phoenix onto the darkness. Seconds passed like minutes. Then from the shadows, a single Haven frigate emerged, its sleek hull unmarked by any crest. A tense silence fell over Mercy's bridge. Lieutenant Arya Kane, the frigate's captain, hailed them. Her crisp voice carried over the speakers. This is Captain Kane of the Haven Order. Identify yourselves. Caleb steadied his voice. I'm Ambassador Rhodes of Earth's defiant empire. We seek dialogue. There was a pause, long enough for doubt to creep in. Then Kane replied, Stand by for instructions. Back on Dominion, Admiral Fernandez and Mira waited hours for news. When Caleb's voice finally came through, it was measured but hopeful. They'll receive us at their council chamber, but no more than 2 delegates. Mira exchanged a look with Jackson. 2? That's hardly enough for security detail. Jackson's jaw tightened. We'll assign our best, quiet professionals, no uniforms. That evening, under the swirling aurora of a Haven world, Ambassador Rhodes and Captain Kane's frigate landed in a cavernous chamber carved from iridescent stone. 2 Haven counselors, tall and stern, observed Earth's envoy through luminous eyes. Caleb knelt in respect, voice calm but firm. On behalf of Earth's people, I extend our hand in peace and partnership. The counselors exchanged glances, then gestured forward. Rise. Speak. Rhodes followed the plan. He spoke of shared threats, pirate raiders on Haven routes, council overreach that stifled trade, and the mutual benefit of a free alliance. He offered mining rights on asteroid belts, medical research exchanged for Haven's agricultural tech, and joint patrols against lawless elements. All the while, he maintained steady eye contact, embodying Earth's newfound confidence. After tense deliberation, the chamber doors closed and reopened. The counselor's lead spokesperson, Counselor Mirael, stepped forward. Your proposal intrigues us, Ambassador. We will deliberate with our full assembly. Expect our answer in 72 hours. Rhodes inclined his head. We await your decision. As the Mercy departed, Rhodes relayed the outcome. Back on Saur Dominion, lights of cautious triumph glowed across the bridge. Admiral Fernandez allowed himself a small smile. They did not reject us outright. That is progress. Mira's chest tightened with relief. Now we wait and prepare defenses. In the silent aftermath, every crew member felt the weight of possibility. Allies might soon stand shoulder to shoulder with Earth's fleet, or the Haven could betray them, handing them back to the Council's wrath. But no matter the outcome, humanity had already proven it could defy exile, and it would not back down. And so as the Armada held position near Haven space, Earth's defiant empire poised on the edge of alliance or war, ready to claim its place among the stars. The Armada held its position in haven space, ships drifting like silent guardians beneath the shrouded skies of the alien system. Captain Mira Hayes stood on the bridge of the Aurora, watching the distant outlines of Haven's moons glow softly against the void. Though Haven's answer was pending, every officer knew that time weighed heavily against them. Below decks of the Sentinel, Commander Jackson Lee oversaw security drills. Soldiers marched through narrow corridors, practicing rapid lockdown procedures and medical triage. Jackson barked encouragement. "Stay sharp. If Council reinforcements arrive, we'll need every hand ready." Private Lena Torres, bruised from earlier battles, kept pace beside veteran Corporal Hassan Malik. They exchanged determined glances. "We'll hold them," Lena said quietly. Hassan nodded. "We have to." Meanwhile, on the horizon, Dr. Ray, Emma Fields and Lieutenant Rafi Malik worked side by side in the makeshift lab. Rafi fed her samples into the scanner while Emma reviewed them. "These asteroids have high-grade iron," she said, pointing at the readout. "If we refine enough, we can manufacture spare parts faster than the Council can destroy them." Rafi smiled. "Good. I've arranged extra cargo transports to shuttle material back here." He glanced at the viewport, where mining rigs shone like distant stars. "Every ton counts." On Arcadia, Ambassador Caleb Rhodes studied Haven's coded transmissions. The 72-hour deadline loomed. He drafted contingency messages, one to request a chance for further negotiation, another to warn Earth's people that failure would force them to stand alone. He resisted both urges. Hope and fear wove through his mind. Finally, he composed a brief note to Admiral Lucas Fernandez. "Haven silent. I recommend final overture tomorrow. Be ready." That night, under artificial lights, the leaders met in the Dominion's War Council chamber. Admiral Fernandez addressed the group. "Tomorrow at noon, Ambassador Rhodes will make our final plea. If Haven fails us, we launch Operation Phoenix Strike. Our new alliance will come not from others but from ourselves." His words echoed in the hushed room. Nora Diaz tapped her datapad. "Our kinetic missile batteries will be ready. We can strike at Council ships within 6 hours' notice." Jackson Lee added, "And if they send ground forces, we've trained Marines in Haven's caves. They're prepared." Each officer nodded, steeling themselves. At dawn, Ambassador Rhodes boarded the Mercy with Captain Hayes, escorted by 3 guards in plain uniforms. Their small convoy glided toward Haven's capital world. Through comms, Mira reminded Rhodes, "Keep calm. Show them Earth's resolve." Rhodes nodded, voice steady. "I will." They landed in the marble plaza before Haven's council halls. Statues of ancient Haven heroes loomed overhead. Soldiers in polished armor watched silently. Rhodes stepped forward, unarmed, and activated his hollow projection. A pulsating phoenix emblem filled the plaza's sky. The crowd gasped at the sight. Some frowned, others whispered among themselves. From the marble steps, Counselor Muriel appeared, flanked by 2 armored guards. Her face was unreadable. Rhodes raised his hand in greeting. "Council of Haven, I stand before you representing Earth's defiant empire. Our people seek friendship, not domination. We offer partnership in trade, science, and defense." He paused to let his words settle. "But if we must stand alone, we will stand tall." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Muriel studied the projection, then Rhodes. Finally she spoke, voice echoing against stone. "Your courage is noted, Ambassador. But our council fears the council's wrath. To join you invites destruction." Rhodes felt his heart sink but pressed on. "Then we ask only for safe passage. Permission to jump through your gates without pursuit. Let Earth live in peace, and neither of our peoples need suffer war." He held his breath. Silence stretched. Counselor Muriel raised her hand. "Deferred." The word struck like a blow. Rhodes's shoulders slumped as 2 guards signaled for him to leave. As he stepped back, the plaza's crowd parted. Some glared, some wept, but none offered help. Captain Hayes reached for Rhodes's arm. "Stay strong," she urged. Back on board the Mercy, Rhodes stared at the fading marble towers. "They deferred us," he said. "No alliance, no passage." His voice trembled. Hayes pressed a hand on his shoulder. "Then it's time for Operation Phoenix Strike." Rhodes nodded, resolve hardening. "For Earth." As the Mercy returned, a sudden alarm blared across the Armada's comm network. Rafi's voice crackled. "Captain, unidentified." Jump signature. Council strike group just arrived in Haven orbit. On every bridge, sirens wailed. In the Aurora, Mira grabbed the comm. "All ships, battle stations, protect the Dominion and transports. We fight here." Outside, Council dreadnoughts emerged from transit rifts, their turrets glowing ominously. The Haven moons trembled under their power. Ships of Earth's Armada weaved into formation, lasers charging. The moment of decision had come, not in council halls, but in the cold silence of space. Captain Hayes looked at her crew, eyes fierce. "They banished us, deferred us, tried to break us. Let them see humanity's spirit burns brighter than any blockade. Today, we rise." Around her, the fleet answered. Engines flared, weapons hummed, and with a thunderous roar, Earth's defiant empire launched into battle once more. Blasts of energy lit up the darkness as Earth's fleet met the Council strike group above Haven's largest moon. Captain Mira Hayes stood on the bridge of the Aurora, lean and focused. Around her, crew members worked at their stations, voices steady beneath the alarm's wail. On the Dominion, Admiral Lucas Fernandez barked orders. "Deploy point defense drones, protect the transports at all costs." Small fighter drones spilled into space, their engines glowing emerald as they formed protective nets around the vulnerable ships. Mira keyed her comm link. "All warships form wedge formation Alpha 7, target the lead dreadnought's weapon arrays. Disable their heavy guns first." Lieutenant Rafi Malik marked the target on Aurora's tactical display. "Dreadnought Omega-3, Captain. It's port. Turrets are powered to maximum." He braced as the station shook from a nearby explosion. "They're returning fire." Outside the viewport, the nearest Council dreadnought unleashed a torrent of plasma bolts. Aurora's shields flared, then held against the assault. Mira exhaled, then signaled for the next move. "Fire torpedo volleys, phase disruptors on my mark." Moments later, Aurora's hangar bays opened and several sleek torpedo boats darted into space. They carried phase disruptor warheads, designed to scramble enemy shields temporarily. Under heavy fire, they raced toward Omega-3. Down in the Sentinel, Commander Jackson Lee manned a tactical console. He tracked the torpedo boat's approach and called out, "They're in! Launching disruptors now." On the dreadnought's hull, static arcs danced as shields faltered. The torpedoes struck in a burst of emerald light. Enemy turrets glinted but could not fire, their power grids overloaded. Taking advantage of the window, Aurora and the Dominion swung into close range. Massive railguns on their hulls roared to life. Bolts of superheated metal streaked across the void, impacting Omega-3's hull with thunderous force. A section of its forward armor buckled. On the horizon, Dr. Emma Fields watched the battle. Feed. Heart pounding. She turned to Lieutenant Rafi, who was coordinating repairs. "When we win this," she said softly, "we'll need fresh parts fast." Rafi nodded. "The mining teams are ready. As soon as the transports are safe, we'll send them back for ore." Back on Aurora, Mira saw the dreadnought's weapons come back online. The Council ship's engines glowed as it tried to escape. She made a swift decision. "Redirect all power to engines, prepare to pursue. Rafi, plot an intercept course." Rafi tapped the console. "Course laid in 30 seconds. Closing speed is high." He glanced at Mira. "The others are joining. Pursuit." Indeed, several frigates and destroyers peeled off to chase Omega-3, lasers blazing. Meanwhile, transports full of civilians and engineer teams slipped toward a nearby asteroid base for repairs. Their small escorts held formation, fighting off stray fighters the Council had sent. Private Lena Torres aboard one transport gripped her rifle as escort pilots shot down enemy craft. She thought of her family back on Earth and felt steel in her veins. For them, she whispered, squeezing the trigger. High above, the Council's strike flagship, Vigilant, advanced on the Dominion. Its captain, a stern figure in silver uniform, activated a massive energy beam. The beam arced across space, striking the Dominion's hull. Sparks flew inside the command sphere and alarm screamed. Admiral Fernandez growled, "Brace for impact." He slapped his console, rerouting power to forward shields. The beam slammed into the Dominion's bow, leaving a glowing trench across its plates. Crew scrambled to contain fires and reseal bulkheads. In that moment of chaos, Ambassador Caleb, Rhodes appeared on the comm. "Admiral, I have an idea." Fernandez cut in. "What is it, Ambassador?" Rhodes's voice was calm. "Use the wreck of Omega-3 as bait. When the Council focuses on it, we hit Vigilant's reactor core with phase pulse missiles." Mira heard the plan and sent it up the chain. "Admiral, Rhodes's suggestion makes sense. If we can disable Vigilant, the rest will fall back." Fernandez considered briefly, then nodded. "All right, launch pulse missiles from Aurora and Sentinel in 5. On Aurora's bow, 2 missile tubes slid open. Technician Marco Ruiz armed the phase pulse warheads. He glanced at his console, sweaty but determined. "Missiles armed. Fire," Mira ordered. Aurora and Sentinel launched in unison. The missiles tore through space toward Vigilant, weaving past enemy fire like hunting wolves. They struck near the flagship's aft reactor. A brilliant flash followed by a shockwave rocked the ship. The reactor overload alarms blared, and Vigilant shuddered violently. On Dominion screens, the flagship's lights dimmed. Its weapons went offline. Council ships hesitated, formations breaking. Admiral Fernandez seized the moment. "All ships, press the attack, push them back." Lasers and railguns roared. Council vessels, leaderless and disabled, retreated under the fierce onslaught. Aurora's crew cheered as the enemy fell back. Mira exhaled, relief flooding her. "They're retreating," she announced over the comm. "We've won this battle." Across the fleet, the sound of victory rang out. In the Sentinel, Jackson Lee allowed himself a relieved smile. "We did it." Yet Mira knew the cost. Many ships had damage and supplies were low. Still, this victory would echo across the stars. Earth's defiant empire had stood firm and struck, a blow against the Council's might. As repairs began and the wounded were tended, Captain Hayes looked ahead. "Tomorrow we press to Haven's rescue, if they are still willing. And then, we turn our eyes home." In the quiet aftermath of battle, humanity's spark burned brighter than ever. The fleet regrouped after the fierce battle, drifting amid the slowly spinning asteroids that surrounded the Haven system. Captain Mira Hayes stood on the bridge of the Aurora, gaze fixed on the repair convoys weaving between hulks of disabled ships. Though victory had been won, the cost was clear: damaged hulls, wounded crews, and dwindling supplies. Yet hope burned brighter than any injury. Below decks of the Dominion, Admiral Lucas Fernandez conferred with Ambassador Caleb Rhodes and Commander Jackson Lee. A holomap displayed Haven's capital world. Fernandez tapped it. "The Council has pulled back, but Haven remains isolated. Our people need safe passage home, and Haven must see we mean to protect them." Rhodes nodded. "After today, they will know our strength and our resolve." Jackson added, "We should send a small escort to their world with aid and a final plea for alliance." Meanwhile, on the horizon, Dr. Emma Fields and Lieutenant Rafi Malik oversaw the last of the mining convoys. Fresh plates and spare parts were loaded onto transports bound for every ship in need. Emma smiled as she handed a welded beam to an engineer. "With this, Aurora's drivetrain will run at full power again." Rafi grinned. "And our freighters can carry double the ore on the next run." Across the Armada, small teams of medics moved from ship to ship, treating burns and repairing cybernetic implants. On a field station built into an asteroid's cavern, Nurse Priya Kapoor arranged rows of stretchers. Private Lena Torres, recovering from a leg wound, helped pass out water rations. "Tomorrow, when Haven opens its gates, we'll be ready," Lena said. Together we built this future. Priya nodded, and we'll keep building it. As the final repairs finished, Ambassador Rhodes prepared his envoy. A small flotilla, Mercy escorted by the frigate Valor and a transport laden with supplies, stood at the jump gate leading to Haven. Captain Hayes joined Rhodes before departure. She placed a hand on his shoulder. This is our moment. Show them who we are, strong but compassionate. Rhodes drew a deep breath. For Earth, and for every life we saved. The convoy jumped through the gate and emerged above Haven's capital. The city's domes glittered beneath translucent shields, and the air shimmered with unfamiliar storms. Rhodes activated the comm. People of Haven, this is Ambassador Rhodes of Earth's defiant empire. We come bearing aid, not arms. Let us share your burdens and stand with you as friends. Below, in the capital's plaza, crowds gathered. Haven soldiers stood with lowered weapons as transports descended. Supplies, food, medicine, water purifiers were unloaded. Families stepped forward to accept them, tears in their eyes. A hush fell as Rhodes stepped onto the landing platform. He looked out at the faces, some wary, some grateful. We defended your world today, he said. Now we bring you what you need. Together, we can face any threat. In that moment, Haven's counselors emerged. Counselor Mirael, her stern, expression softened by the sight of caring hands, approached. She held a small crystal orb, a symbol of Haven's blessing. Ambassador, she said, we see your deeds, not just your words. Earth fought for us as if we were kin. On behalf of the Haven people, I grant you the right to pass through our gates freely and declare formal alliance. A cheer rose from the crowd. Soldiers saluted and civilians cheered. Rhodes bowed deeply. Thank you. This bond will endure. Mira Hayes joined Rhodes and Mirael. The three clasped hands, Earth, Haven, and the Phoenix emblem united. Back aboard the Aurora, Mira recorded the moment for Earth's broadcasts. She envisioned children watching on distant screens, their hearts lifted by hope. She spoke softly into the camera. Today, we proved that exile did not break us. Together with Haven, we will build an empire founded on respect and courage. Our future shines brighter than any star.